There is a difference between doing something better and getting more out of doing it. This is the easiest way to tell the difference between comparative advantage and absolute advantage. One country might be able to make the same thing faster than another, but the faster country could still buy that product from the slower country. In international trade, the focus is on what's good for both sides. So, if it's better for the faster country to buy the product than to make it, it will buy it instead of making it. In economics, when we talk about comparative advantage versus absolute advantage, it's important to remember that the two ideas don't have to be at odds with each other. Absolute advantage looks at how well something works, while comparative advantage looks at how much it costs to not do something. Let's talk about each of them. First, we'll look at the advantage that can't be taken away. Absolute advantage comes down to making a product better than anyone else. In economics, a country has an absolute advantage if it is better at making a certain good than any other country. Absolute advantage means that one country can make more of a good with the same amount of resources than another country. How does this work then? Let's look at a specific case. Think about country A and country B, which only need people to make coffee bags. Country has a workforce of 50 people, and every day they make 50 bags of coffee. Country B, on the other hand, only has 50 workers, but every day it makes 40 bags of coffee. The above example shows that country A is much better at making coffee than country B. Even though both countries have the same number of workers, country A makes more bags of coffee in the same amount of time than country B. This is what absolute advantage means in economics. Now let's look at the relative advantage. Opportunity cost is at the heart of the idea of comparative advantage. What does the economy have to give up so that a certain product can be made? In economics, the country that gives up the fewest benefits to make a certain product has a comparative advantage over other countries that give up more benefits. This is why comparative advantage is more important to economists than absolute advantage. In other words, are you getting more out of making this product than others? If so, you have a comparative advantage over other people. If not, you should choose a product that gives you the most benefits for the least amount of money. Let's look at one. Let's take a look at country A and country B. Both countries can make coffee and rice, which they can sell for the same price. When country A makes 50 bags of coffee, it doesn't make as much rice. Country B, on the other hand, gives up 50 bags of rice when it makes 50 bags of coffee. From the above example, we can see that country A has an advantage when it comes to making coffee. This is because country A gives up 30 bags of rice for every 50 bags of coffee it makes. This is less than the 50 bags of rice country B has to give up. Absolute advantage and comparative advantage are not always at odds with each other, but they do have only two important things in common. Let's talk about them. The goal of both absolute advantage and comparative advantage is to make more things. Absolute advantage tries to boost production at home by making a good that the country is best at making. Comparative advantage also tries to increase national output by combining domestic production and imports. Both ideas can be used for people, businesses, and the economy as a whole. Because resources are limited and people want to get the most out of them, all economic agents need to understand the ideas of absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Ireland is an example of a country that has an advantage over other countries around the world. Compared to other places in the world, Ireland is better at making milk and meat from animals that eat grass. Indonesia has an advantage over the rest of the world when it comes to making charcoal because it is the world's largest supplier of charcoal and had the highest surplus in 2014. The Democratic Republic of Congo has a comparative advantage right now because it produces the most tin than anywhere else in the world. Japan also has an advantage over other countries in the world when it comes to making cars. This doesn't mean that other countries won't make some of these things, but it's likely that they will import more than they make at home. In the field of economics, it is very important to know the difference between absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Absolute advantage means making a product better than anyone else, while comparative advantage looks at the cost of not making something. Both ideas are meant to boost national output, and people, businesses, and the economy as a whole can use them. In international trade, It's also important to remember that the two ideas can work together to help both sides. Countries like Ireland, Indonesia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Japan show the advantages that come with making certain goods and how comparative advantage can lead to more economic growth and success. If economic agents understand these principles, they can make decisions that make the best use of resources and bring the most benefits.